Okay, NK, we live and streaming on YouTube.
Hey, how's your day been?
Great, thanks, and yours?
It's been a very cold one.
Sure, yeah, very cold.
Hey, brother, how are you?
Great, thanks, and you, Lungelo?
Fantastic as always, man. Fantastic as always.
Callum.
Wait, how's it going, guys?
Awesome.
Hello.
Cool. I didn't realize
Lungelo, I saw a profile picture of you and a nice beer there. That's a good choice of beer, man.
Yo, Stella one way. Stella one way.
What did he say? I missed that.
Let me try and show you. There it is there. He's just complimenting the beverage. Oh man, amazing.
Yeah,
guys, as much as I am streaming this live on YouTube, just more to experiment with it. So you can say whatever you want, but and no one's watching this YouTube channel, but I need to see how it works, and I want to see if it records it for me.
Cool.
But, that's what I must do. I must
yeah, and that's being mindful. And I think that your YouTube viewers would agree that wheat beer is better than a lot of other beers. Tell him, quick one.
Yeah, okay.
I've just been reading up on these ghost kitchens, and I suspect that wow, I think there's going to be a growing trend there, right?
Oh wow, I haven't heard of them.
Yeah. So it's literally just it's the idea that restaurants can't afford overheads, and instead of them having independent establishments, they rent out a single warehouse space, and they operate in that warehouse space with shared facilities. So basic, so a long sort of gas stove, and the output is not necessarily the experience, but it's more the meals.
Oh wow, yeah, that does sound interesting. I must check that out. Is that is that happening?
So that's happening in Cape Town and Joburg, but not around our city. I'll share something in the chats now.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'd love to read about that.
Okay, so people are slowly, actually quite quickly coming in. Fabrice.
How's it, Luke?
Great, thanks to you. Love the headset.
Thank you.
You've been doing many a Zoom call.
Oh boy, they're coming out of my ears, I tell you. Yeah. I literally just walked out of one now. Well, I say walked, but yeah, just hung up on someone.
Just adjust your screen slightly downwards, Fabrice, so that we can see a bit more of you if we can.
Okay, let's see.
There we go. Fantastic.
Well, thanks for that feedback. No one else has told me.
No.
Trying to get better. This is the place to be.
No, this is the place to be. And just as I've said this disclaimer to those that have already joined, but we streaming this session on YouTube.
Oh, forgot to do my hair. Are you sure? Are you serious?
Yes,
5,000 views already, man.
But Fabrice, there's no one watching this channel. It's just more to experiment for when we launch the actual think tank. I just want to see how it works and whether it gets good feedback.
Okay, cool.
Okay, but yeah, there's absolutely no one watching it. I just want to see if it would work, and it does work. It works quite nicely.
Okay.
We're just waiting for a handful of participants or people to join.
Cool.
NK, those ghost kitchens look really interesting. I didn't realize they were kind of being built around delivery service providers.
Yeah. It
so
also
much
blew my
sense.
mind.
Yeah, this is really interesting.
Fabrice, I think of everyone in this room, I think you know the least people in this particular room that we're in. And I actually, no, I'm going to wait for introductions later, but yeah, Callum Oberholzer is from Blackbox.io. They developed Open Seats, which is a fantastic app, a web-based app.
How's it, Callum?
Lungelo is
Hey,
part
how's
of
it going,
Dream Big, Stay Humble, and is a motivational speaker. And then NK Nkululeko is part of or founded Pista Ventures, which does consulting to organizations. But I think I'd love for the two of you, or I'd love for everyone to get to know one another. But yeah, NK and Fabrice, I think you guys this conversation is long overdue.
Oh, nice to meet you. I look forward to doing so in person when it's safe to do.
Yeah, when it's safe to be in the meters.
Prus, can you hear me?
Yes, Jean-Luc, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, no, that's perfect. We're just waiting for Michaela Gatenberg and Hasesha Naidu, and then we can start with discussing the think tank and a bit about Sagacity, but also just mainly to introduce everyone to one another and to see where there's opportunity to collaborate or just to get to know one another. But we'll start
definitely.
that shortly.
Good to see everyone. Yeah.
Okay, Julia Rita is on board.
Jean-Luc, I have to just attend something in the kitchen. Apparently, I'll stop. Can I take a minute?
Please.
I'll see you now.
Okay, and Fabrice, how are things at Investec?
Hey, good, eh? We mostly all still working from home. We're very fortunate in that over the last year we had been sort of going through an exercise of increasing our flexibility, flexi hours policy, sort of guys setting up to be able to work from home. You can hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, so when the lockdown sort of looked unavoidable, we just accelerated that process, and I think it's been the blue flame on our backside that we needed to just get there. It feels like we skipped 10 years, really.
Wow.
But yeah, we fully set up to operate, obviously without the social elements of it.
Yes, but Joe, you guys were incredibly forward thinking. I remember Investec quite early on pushing for this type of behavior. Very, incredibly forward thinking and well done.
Yeah, no, I think we're lucky. We had no idea something like this was coming.
No, you
we
couldn't.
just wanted to to increase flexibility. But it's definitely been at the right time for us.
And Julia, thanks so much for joining. I really appreciate it.
Hey, it's so lovely to be here. Thanks. Great to see everybody.
Yes, and this is the invitation list was quite a big invitation list, and I'm incredibly impressed with how many people have agreed on such a short space of time. I know some were notified slightly earlier, but we're hopefully going to have another Zoom call within the next week or two with everyone. And one of the reasons why we particularly want a bigger group is so that we can practice with the breakout rooms for the think tank. The bigger the group is, the dynamics change completely, and so we're quite excited to experiment with that. And Julia, as I said, you can see on the top left of the screen that this is being recorded and that is on YouTube.
Perfect. Amazing.
Yeah, and I think that it doesn't inhibit the conversation, but I think it's a nice feature.
Awesome. Love it. Well done.
Kuketso, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Hi, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I was actually waiting to be let in on Google Hangouts. I didn't realize that you set up two links, like Zoom and Google Hangouts.
Google's doing such an irritating thing there. When you create a Zoom call, it automatically creates a Google Meets link without you asking it to. And I must have forgotten to delete it.
Sneaky
No
Google.
problem.
Competitors
But yeah,
101.
thanks very much, Kuketso, for being here. And yeah, you've been a part of initially what was Champions of Enterprise from the beginning, and Fabrice the same. Champions of Enterprise was the beginning of this conversation.
No problem.
Dumela, Kuketso.
Hi, how are you doing?
Everything. It's good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you too. Sorry, guys, I'm not showing my face because I'm not looking as
No, I guess
No
you
worries.
completely understand. Different times, yeah, different times. And it's the evening, I have to say.
Okay, I think that's almost everyone. We were just waiting for Michaela Gatenberg, who notified me that she'd be a few minutes late. But I wanted to show a video that I think, Julie, I'm not sure if you shared it with me, but I'm gonna. It was on the perspective one, yes.
Oh, I love it. It's beautiful.
And I think it sets the tone for the conversation. And we yeah. What I need to do. Hang on a sec. I need to put on audio.
Want to lose weight and keep eating for the liberation to begin with.
The number of cases of COVID-19 in South Africa has increased sixfold in recent days.
The disease is spreading rapidly in many countries.
South Africa declared a state of disaster.
There are now well over 3.6 million confirmed cases.
South Africa is bringing the disease under control.
The world is under lockdown.
one of us is as intimately attached to the soil of this beautiful country as are the famous mimosa trees of the bushveld. The time for the healing of the wounds has come. The moment to bridge the chasms that divide us has come. The time to build is upon us. That none of us acting alone can achieve success. We must therefore act together as a united people. The sun shall never set on so glorious a human achievement.
I never get tired of this view. It really gives you a different perspective. Seven traffic.
Let freedom reign. God bless Africa. It is in your hands now.
Okay, so was everyone able to see that? Just a thumbs up. Now, that's what Sagacity is about. It's about perspective and what perspective we take and what perspective we give. And that's what the think tank is about. It's about inspiring new perspective to lead in a complex world. It's a 6-week think tank. And yeah, so what I wanted to achieve with that video is that, and I think it sets the tone. It sets the tone for the province and city that we live in, and the incredible potential it has to be the most caring and livable city in the world. And the people in this Zoom call are the people who are going to make that come to fruition, and no one else. Well, yes, no one. But yes, I really believe that the people in this Zoom call have an incredible power and potential to bring that vision into reality. And so the purpose of this is to set the tone for what the think tank will achieve in July, to get your buy-in and support, and see in what capacity you are able to be involved in, if any. But your support is the most important thing we need. And so I wanted to, before, who hadn't watched that video before seeing it now? Just hands up. Okay, fantastic. And yeah, I think it's a powerful video displaying what Durban's potential is. What I quickly want to do whilst everyone is still here is we've launched a poll. If you can react to the poll that's been launched, and we'll see the progress afterwards. The 2 questions. Okay, fantastic. Has everyone had a chance to answer it? Okay, fantastic. The results are really interesting. I think, yeah, fantastic. Okay, great. This is really exciting. And so, whilst I'm watching the data come through, with that first question, what are you hoping to gain? It's everyone's ticking more than one, which is fantastic. But it's even better to see that to make an impact and contribute has the highest score, which is what we want to see. Okay, so there you can see the results. Yeah, really, really interesting. Okay. Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so I'm gonna do breakout rooms in a few minutes, and just to break you into rooms of 3, and what I want to discuss, or what I would like us to contribute to, is or first maybe I should give some perspective or context on the think tank. So why a think tank? What is a think tank, and why is it different to a discussion? Is that with a think tank, you're proposing an idea or ideas or feedback to someone, okay? So the idea behind our think tank with the Sagacity Africa Leadership Think Tank is to put forward these ideas to the city and to City Serve and City Story, the organization. Yeah, so it's not just discussions that are going to end and not be followed up on. They're going to be acted on, and so yeah, that's an important part of the think tank. But what I want to achieve now in the next few minutes, well, firstly, maybe if I can get some feedback on the poll that we did, and any questions you have at this point about the think tank, any questions you might have which we can cover in the next few minutes. But if there are no questions, I will keep going.
I've got a question. How's it, guys? I hope you guys are doing great. Fantastic. So, Jean, you spoke about the fact that Sagacity is about perspective, right? Inspiring a new perspective and also to inspire a new lead. I guess what I'm trying to understand is, by inspiring a new lead, what do you mean specifically? As in, like, are we changing the narrative, or are we enhancing the narrative? And if so, what narrative are we focusing on?
Okay, well, that's fantastic. That's a great question, Langelo. Thanks for asking it. So our mission is to inspire a new perspective to lead in a complex world. So inspiring perspective to lead in a complex world. So it is about leadership, and it's about and what's interesting is this tagline was created well before COVID-19 happened, and is now even more so relevant today in terms of the complexity we live in. But regarding the narrative that Sagacity wants to be a part of shaping is, well, here I suppose I need to reflect or reiterate what Sagacity's vision is. And it's quite simple, and we borrowed our vision from the South African National Development Plan. And one of the lines in that plan is, we are people who value thoughts and ideas, okay? So that's what we want. We want to achieve that we want the ordinary citizen to achieve that. And what we mean by that is that we have a proclivity to reason before resorting to violence, that we invite debate, discussion, and dialogue, and that we search for commonality. That's what that statement means.
Fantastic. No, thanks for answering that, Bud, because I was just trying to understand if we're focusing on one sector, or just when you say in a complex world, you know, there's many parts of that complex world that we're probably operating in or trying to add value in. So I think understanding the parts of the complex world we're trying to actually add value to would make things a lot easier, but it's making sense now.
Okay, no, and you're right, and that's why with these breakout rooms that we're going to break out into soon, they divided into, because if you're going to change the narrative or influence the narrative in any way, you need to introduce new ideas or characters. And so most of the people in this room are familiar with the 3 primary characters in the Sagacity narrative. And they drive off your triple bottom line, your king code, people, profit, and planet. And so we copied, or we built off that, and we said, soldiers of sustainability, champions of enterprise, and knights of justice. Okay, so those are the 3 characters in the Sagacity narrative. And it's through those characters and through their unique perspectives on the same content and experience. So in the think tank, we get all the teams will experience the same speakers and content, but approach them from the perspective of justice, enterprise, sustainability. And that's what we think is unique about this think tank, is that it's not just you consuming a webinar-like content and then walking away maybe feeling inspired, which is great, but we want active participation in the breakout rooms for these think tanks. Yeah, so that's the objective behind that.
Thanks.
And I think the character, like Fabrice, you'll be familiar with champions of enterprise and the conversations we had there around entrepreneurship and leadership and breeding or building a new brand of entrepreneur that's more inclusive, that casts their stakeholder net wider. So that's the sentiment we want to get across with these characters, is that they are inclusive, and a stronger mandate to do what's right and what's required of our times.
Yeah. Quick question, Jean-Luc. Just so you've got soldiers of sustainability, you've got the enterprise guys, justice, the Sherpas, and then singularity. How does singularity kind of fit in? Because in my head, it almost plays a role in all of those other spheres. Is that right?
That's perfect. that is the perfect answer, and I actually don't have to say anything else. Technology kind of perfuses or like permeates through the characters, or through the different themes. So the idea with the singularity and technology team, which I think you gravitate towards closest at this point, at Callum, and the team I'd like you to be a part of. The idea would be for the team technology or the team singularity, which Pras would be the head of, is for you to have your discussions on the theme. So in the 6 weeks, you'll consume the content and have your own discussions, but then you'll break out into the different teams and facilitate that specific conversation that needs to be had about how does technology leverage sustainability, enterprise, and justice to achieve its goals.
Yeah. Cool, thanks, man.
A great question, and I think you answered it yourself. Okay, fantastic. I want to cover just a few points about the think tank that will give you some ammunition to have the very brief breakout room discussions. So I'm going to show you a document quickly that outlines the think tank. And I've shared it with everyone in the calendar invite for this event. And most of you should have the document shared with you, so you can look at it in more detail afterwards. It's the Sagacity, it's the SALTT snapshot. So I'm just going to open the one part of it. Okay. Can everyone see what I'm looking at with the document?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. I'm gonna go right to the top. So the Sagacity Africa Leadership Think Tank, or just SALTT for short. Here I want to reiterate the point of perspective, that we each have our unique and differing perspectives. Now, a different word that we can use for a perspective on the world or on Durban is a map, okay? So we're gonna keep using this analogy of a map throughout the think tank, because we all have different maps and models and perspectives of how we see Durban and the world, okay? But what we can try to do is that all maps have a set of keys or a language that you use to navigate the map, okay? And although we do want to arrive at the same keys and the same map at the end of the day, so our perfection would be to achieve that. What our short-term goal is to have a common set of keys with differing maps. Okay. So when we say keys, we mean language. So when we're having these conversations around Black Lives Matter, inequality, and freedom of speech, what we want to have the same tools and the same keys and the same language for how we approach these problems. Okay, so that's the analogy we're using, and it's a nice one because we can visually represent where on the same map, where are we? How are we viewing the terrain differently? Okay, so that's the analogy we're working with for this. Our vision for this specific think tank is to come up with ideas and advice and recommendations, but how do we lower the ecological ceiling, so the impact we're having on the environment, and how do we build a stronger social foundation? How do we uplift, how do we support the needy, the poor, and so those are the two elements, and the economic model to achieve the above. So now, how do we economically do this? How do we make it work? So the blue link there takes you to Kate Raworth's Donut Economics, which I will share with you over WhatsApp as well. It's a fascinating economic model. Fabrice, I actually think you'll be fascinated by it and take some interest in it, because this whole perpetual search and hunger for growth is destroying the planet, and it's not working. Alone, it's not working. And so what this proposes is just a different way of measuring progress. And I think that's what we need to try and encourage in these discussions, is how do we measure things differently? How do we frame things differently? And the process during the think tank will be, what are we going to keep? So what are we grateful for? What do we discard? And what do we change and evolve? The process there. Okay, so that's the process we're going to use, and you can use those words when discussing it in the breakout rooms as to how we actually do it the practical way. And then here, these also tie in quite neatly: behavioral changes and change criteria. Is it viable? Can it be sustained? Is it desirable? Is it feasible? Okay, and the ultimate leadership outcome that we want to achieve and we want you, all of you that are in this call, to come up with a vision for what our vision for Durban, what it can look like, the passion and energy and action. When I said what Sagacity's vision or mission is, we are people who value thoughts and ideas, and that translates into action that affects the community, that helps people. It can't just end with thoughts and ideas, it needs to translate into something. So this is a brief overview of the characters and teams, which you all know, most of you are fairly familiar with it. The characters, the seasons, which you will see have a strong overlap. And then this is the breakdown of the 6 weeks and the 6 chapters in the 6 weeks. And it's at this point that I'd like your feedback, because I'm not gonna, for every group of people that we do this Zoom call for, I'm not gonna try and make them understand all this in one go. It's too much to digest. Okay, so I'm cognizant of that. But we'll introduce things in each week. We'll introduce things, so people don't need to understand everything in one go, and you right now don't need to understand everything in one go. That's even if you are involved. but I want to show you the big picture because most of you here have engaged with Sagacity on some level. And this is the narrative. So Lungelo, when you asked what narrative are we weaving, it's these 6 chapters. And the real sentiment that we want to get across in the 6 chapters is that final, the thread, the golden thread through the 6 chapters is the final chapter, the Invincible Summer. That in the midst of winter, we found there was within us an invincible summer. And we are in an incredibly dark winter right now. It's going to last 2 to 4 years before we get out of it, if we are lucky. And so it's going to really put our invincible summer to the test. And people, this theme of the invincible summer is resonating with people in Durban because we don't really have a winter, despite it being slightly cold right now. We don't really have a winter. And so we have this very like real invincible summer. But that's obviously just that's quite a superficial image to be looking at. The real image is within its citizens and within its people, what we believe in, what we believe in for ourselves and what we believe in for others. So this document, I shared it with you over the Google, in the calendar event, and I'll share it with you again if you need it. Okay, as much as I could keep preaching all these things for forever, I don't want to. And I'd like a few questions if you have any, and if there aren't any, I'll give you a chance, I suppose. Okay, fantastic. I'm gonna put people into the breakout rooms. There are 9 of us in total. The breakout room is going to be very quick. We're going to do 3 to 5 minutes. I know, Julia, you need to leave at 15:15. I just want to, as the captain of the Knights of Justice team, it would be great for you to lead a short conversation on your theme. Okay.
Sorry, Jean-Luc.
Yes.
Would change of some sort in a particular sector be seen as an end product for Sagacity? Like, how would you measure the success of our?
That's a great question. I think, can you ask that question again at the end of the breakout rooms? Because I really like that question. Okay. Are people in the rooms?
I think we're still together as far as I can see.
Okay. Okay, there we go.